Hi all, this is a game played on the 21st of January against Hemel Hempstead 1, so Barnet versus Hemel Hempstead. I was playing T.Tebbs, who actually used to play for Barnet Chess Club years ago, and is a very solid player. In fact, so solid as white that his one of his favourite systems is the London system, which I don't really enjoy playing against. I should really have a good system against it, and in fact, one of the blog posts on the Barnet Chess Club blog was moaning, that it's such a stodgy system to play against. I played here e6 to keep the flexibility of moving the f-pawn as a sort of surprise, a transposition into the Dutch. So after knight f3, I played f5. So at least, it's not going to be a boring game, I think, by playing this way. On the other hand, I was kind of out of my book, and after bishop g5 I played knight f6, and he played knight c3 now, and really I don't know the theory of this, so maybe bishop e7 would have been solid. I think I played a controversial move, bishop b4, which seems tempting to pin the knight, but it left me in quite a lot of trouble, especially the way I played it now. After e3, I decided to try and chase his bishop on g5 away. So I played h6, but it loses a bit of time. And although white seems to have a kind of harmless position, it is quite dangerous after this giving up the bishop. Because after queen takes f6, he plays bishop d3. And, later if I'm not careful, if I just casually castle and he castles, he's going to play e4 later, and I could be in trouble. I sensed, danger with a later e4, so that's why I played c5 to try and at least pressure the d4 square. But after castles c takes d4, he actually played knight b5, which is a very good move. So he's threatening knight c7, trapping my rook, so I have to defend that. The knight's awkwardly placed now when I try and defend it with this knight a6. And after e takes d4, I'm really getting a horrible position now. I castle, and after c3, I play bishop e7. And the full horror of the position started to dawn on me after this rook e1. Visually, it might look as though it's a reasonable position for black, but actually this bishop's a bit hopeless. He's got a very solid position in the centre with this these pawns here, and very strong control of e5 from the knight and from the rook. Furthermore, how do I develop my queen side? This knight's kind of trapped on the edge, and this bishop is not the most brilliant piece either on c8. So I played d6, which actually, I don't think he fully punished. I was visualising actually bishop c4 followed by queen b3 just to target this e6 pawn, and also he could potentially just double up rooks later with rook e2 and rook e1. So he didn't do that. He let me off the hook here, because if he had played this bishop c4 and queen b3, if I have to play d5 and the bishop moves back, then this e5 square would be even weaker, and a fantastic outpost for this knight on f3. So anyway, I've got really weak pawns here. He played queen e2, and I play now rook e8. Now he plays a4, which is a very interesting move. So he's slightly let me off the hook to at least defend e6, so I play bishop f8. And after queen c2, I think he's lost a bit of time with this queen move. He should have just moved there immediately. Now perhaps he's going to double up rooks. But I take this chance to liberate my position a little bit with e5 while I can. And so after rook e2, I play bishop d7 now, and he increases the pressure with rook a e1. So I'm provoked forward. I play it, knowing that he's got bishop c4 check, and after king h8, knight d2, I'm faced with a very unpleasant undermining now possibility, f3 by white. So I'll be left with a lot of weaknesses still in my position, still with this horrible knight on a6. So positionally, this opening has gone quite badly wrong, with very limited counterplay opportunities, and a lot of pressure against my pawn structure. Like that Ivanchuk-Kasparov game where Kasparov had the two bishops. You know, these bishops are also kind of useless and difficult to sort of do anything with. I play bishop c6 though here to try and provoke d5. And now Rybka reckons actually the best move was bishop d7. I didn't really like that because I didn't want this knight coming back to d4 and then potentially to e6, which actually later gives us getting to be a big advantage for it anyway. But apparently this is the worst move to play anyway, what I played. Bishop takes b5. White has a clear advantage now. I try and mix things up a bit now. I play rook e5, and after f3 I just took on f3, and after knight takes I took on e2, because at least finally I can now get this knight off the rim. They say knights on the rim are dim, so the knight actually potentially is going to support a rook e8, which actually he let me play. After bishop c4 I play rook e8, and he's in a bit of time trouble now to reach the time control, so actually I offer a draw, which I was really glad he accepted. Their team had wiped us out that night anyway. The eventual match score was 4-1, and so this is one of the two draws which we scraped. Let's have a look in conclusions and summary of this game. So I was faced with the horrible prospect of playing against the London system. I kind of went into a bit of a panic mode, playing an unusual Dutch, which I really didn't know the theory, after bishop g5, and especially knight c3. So maybe the most solid continuation would have been just bishop e7. So instead I played the more risky bishop b4. And after e3 I wasted a bit of time with h6. So white had a great position here after bishop d3, even though it looks a bit harmless. I didn't really want to double his pawns because later that would be a menace with b takes and c4 and d5. So white's position is just waiting to sort of explode in the centre. That's why I played c5 to at least challenge the centre, but it all kind of went wrong in different ways now, with my pieces being very badly placed and ineffective. So these two guys in particular, not very good. And also this one, not very easy to develop. Combined with white's domination of the e file and the e5 square, this is a very unpleasant position, which really I should have lost from. I believe just bishop c4 and queen b3 was the most accurate plan here. So he wasted time with his queen a little bit here, and let me arrange protection of that e6 pawn. And not only that, a little liberation now with e5 of the position, but even so it comes at great cost that I'm going to be undermined now with this f3 move. But anyway, at least I provoked d5 to try and give my knight a square, say to the c5 square. But I decided actually to also give it the c7 square. So I took that knight on the b5 and then this rook e5. And now, after this sequence, white still had a clear advantage in the final position. An example continuation, he can still get on the e6 square. So if he had taken knight d4, hitting f5, it's very unpleasant. How do I defend the f5 pawn? Say g6, knight e6, unpleasant. King g8, queen f2, Rybka thinks an advantage to white, but not a huge advantage here. On depth 9 it thinks, or depth 10, just 0.49. So I don't know, in practical terms it might have been very difficult to defend. So I was pleased with that draw. Tebbs is around the same rating as me anyway, so didn't lose too many rating points. I hope you found something instructive there. Perhaps not to be too scared if someone is about to play a very dull opening. Don't give them an easy time with a continuation you don't know anything about. Anyway, thanks very much, and please leave any comments on YouTube.